coming out my carburetor. There we go, full potato. And I'm going to drain all the gas out of the gas tank. And the easiest way to do that is to put that there. Catch most of it. Okay, I drained the basically I want to see if there's water in the fuel. It doesn't appear as though there is in the sediment bowl. It doesn't appear like it was what's draining out. The gas doesn't even really look all that bad. There doesn't appear to be any water in the fuel tank. The fuel tank looks reasonably clean. Not like there's a bunch of schmutz in it or anything, particularly around the drain. So it's not the, I can say after this operation, it is not fuel. Okay. So it is not fuel. I do not see any water in the bottom of the fuel. So that puts us back down to carb adjustments. So I'm going to call it an evening and go read about this thing and see what might be the problem. So, sorry, not a very exciting video. Alright, so I just wanted to wrap up here for the evening. I think it was a miracle this thing ran for as long as it did when I first got it off the trailer. It's got lots of problems. Mainly being 4 different spark plugs. So I think I'm going to go ahead and do a fresh spark plug. I might even go ahead and get I opened the distributor and looked in the distributor and everything, and you know, there's nothing in there
screams problem with spark. So it boils down to fuel. It's got to be a fuel problem. I just don't know what it is. So I just have to work on it, but I figure I might as well make everything right before I get that far. This right here is just a water leak, it appears. So I will probably need to pop the head off and replace the head gasket. So I should probably do that. And, you know, which requires taking all of this junk off, which is really exciting. And this manual that I bought off eBay for 12 bucks is about as useless as $12 can be, in terms of stuff. So I think the only problem is when you take this head off, you got to take the carb back off. And okay, so the intake and exhaust manifold comes off with the head, which is good. I never really wanted to be this far into this thing. It was never my intention. At least not in this way. I've got 350 bucks in a new carburetor already sitting here. So I'm into this thing well over $1,000 now. And it's not worth that. So just not worth it. So I'll have to think before I want to spend any more money. I did look up an ignition kit. Depending on what level you want to do, you can spend anywhere from 10 to 60 bucks. So really got to think about some of that stuff. Big thing is, you know, I still got to get in there and either tighten that water pipe up, or either tighten that water pipe up or replace it. It's kind of disheartening, but you know, as I've always said, this is what happens when you buy stuff at an auction. I may just, like I said, it ran when it came off the trailer. And you have the very brief video that I took at night with it running. And so maybe it's just time to, I'm just trying to think if I have time to do it, but maybe pressure clean it and take it apart and send it down the road and cut my losses. You know, it's got a good fuel tank on it. The engine's worth something. Got a brand new $350 carburetor on it. You know, I can get, you know, probably 300 bucks out of it, back out of it. Power steering, you know, things along those lines, wide front, and I'll be back even, and I can toss the rest in the scrap pile. So, is what it is. I'll do some thinking about it and pondering and go from there. All right, so I got to thinking about it as I was actually walking out of the shop. It's like, what is happening here? I'm going to turn this engine over, and the ignition system's not on, but I'm going to turn this engine over. I want you to tell me if there's anything funky with the valve train. You notice anything funny with this little this valve right here? I do believe that valve is stuck. And because it is stuck, tells me that what is happening with it being stuck is it's blowing the gas back down the, because I don't, it looks like that is the, oh, maybe that's exhaust valve, but yeah, that's not good. So I'm thinking the head has to come off this thing, like it or not. And the head has to come off, and figure out why that valve is stuck. I think that is, I think that's the root of our problem, at least. I'm going to see if I can tap it a couple times and get it loose, but the camera is about to run out of battery. But I'm going to set you up here, and we'll get as much done as we can before the camera runs out of battery. This is nothing technical or anything like that. I want to see if I can just get it loose from the standpoint of being able to determine what's wrong with it. That thing is stuck. All right. Well, we've identified our problem. So I think the next step is we gotta pull the head. All right, so I have clearly missed a number of steps here. Lots of steps. So in the previous video, I showed you the fact that this valve, or I think I'm gonna show you in the previous video, this valve right here is stuck, which led us to take the head off. Well, if you can see, I have a stud remover on the head here because it was the last stud holding the head down and it did not want to come off. And so also in the process, definitely broke the manifold. So now I have to spend more money on a manifold. So we have a head gasket kit and we have a new manifold coming, or will shortly. I want to see what all this looks like before I do too much and spend any more money on this thing before I look at the engine. So I got the head hooked up to the engine hoist / cherry picker, and now we're pulling the stud out, and I think it's almost out. Yeah, you can see the stud there. We did get the radiator drained, or the cooling system drained. And I think what we'll do at this point is we'll go ahead and, oh, it's almost free. Now I still have to get that stud out of there. That's the scary part. But let me get the head out of here and we'll see what it looks like. All right, got the head off. I at least wiped all the crap off the surface here. A couple of interesting things that aren't the best news for this engine. This is a cylinder, has the stuck valve, which I have not looked at yet, but we'll look at it here in just a second. Looks like it has been stuck for a while. Also, if you start looking at these cylinder liners, it's pretty clear they do not look happy at all. So basically it boils down to, what do I want to do? And actually, let me see if I can, well, yeah, basically this is the worst cylinder right here. I got the battery unhooked, so don't worry about it right now. This is the worst cylinder right here, number 4. It's got scoring all in it. It looks like it's been eroded by water or something. So I'm going to do some analysis on this and see what I might need to do to this thing. At this point, it might actually be, basically we're trying to figure out, monetarily speaking, what it's worth versus how much I want to spend on it. This is not a machine I want to keep. You know, I bought it to kind of play with, and I think it's a little bit worse than I anticipated. You know, especially with looking at these cylinders. I mean, they are all kinds of scored in there, and that's just not good. This is the best looking cylinder other than the crap that's on top of it. So I will, I'll keep picking this a little bit, do a little bit of research. We gotta get the block drained to coolant and stuff like that. So we'll do a little bit of research and see what we come up with. So I'll let you know. Actually, we need to look at the head first. So here's the head. I think I already pointed this out. Here's where I broke the intake manifold, or the intake and exhaust manifold. Basically, I just leaned on the exhaust pipe and it popped right off. Here's the stuck valve. And if we look at the, if we look underneath the head here, you can clearly tell it's stuck. It's been stuck for a while. There's the stuck bolt or stud. You know, there's nothing too scary when you start looking at the valves. At least off the top of the head, there's not. Or off my top of my head, looking at it, doesn't look too bad. But we got to do some analysis on this, see what we can come up with, and we will go from there. So let me work on that and I'll report back. Well, after a good bit of decision making, I did a little bit of research, things like that. More or less decided it's just going to go to parts. Not necessarily because I want to, because it's going to take a lot of time to do that. I'll learn some stuff by tearing it down. I would have much preferred to see it run and go to somebody else. But realistically speaking, I cannot in good conscience, I can't justify spending the money to fix some of the problems that it has. So I'll go through a little bit of the math. Basically, as it sits right now with everything that I've already purchased, I've got $1,200 in it. By the time I got everything done to do it right, I would have almost $2,000 in it. Plus, I would have to invest a good, at least 40 hours of my time into this thing. And then it probably still would not be done to my liking, and I would be selling somebody else a project that didn't look very good because I'm not going to paint it or anything like that. And I'm not about selling people projects unless I am clear about the project, and I just don't think for what it is, it's not worth it. So I'm going to pull a couple things off of it, see if I can get a little bit of money for like the snap coupler and the PTO and stuff like that. See if I can get a little bit back, and then maybe try to sell the rest of the machine whole. You know, somebody can use it for parts. I'm not interested in really tearing it down piece by piece, only because the standpoint of I don't have really the time to do that, because that's going to take me more time than actually, you know, repairing it. But at the same time, I'm really not into selling somebody a project. I'm really not. I don't think that that's fair to others. Particularly with what I would basically need to get $1,300 out of it as it sits right now, and I don't think it's worth that. So, you know, I got to drive it a little bit. It was fun with a little bit that I did get to drive it, and you know, maybe I'll find another one day, and I'll have fun with it. So we'll see. Benefit perks of this one is it does have the wide front on it, you know, so that's a nice thing, and you know, it is what it is. We'll, I'll keep thinking about it, but I think this is pretty much it for this, this series. Kind of unfortunate, but we've got other projects I need to move on to. I need the space in the shop. So I think I'm going to call it good. I will post any updates in the future if I change my mind. So thanks for watching.